Sir, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on the show. Sir, we've just shared with our audiences what the Prime Minister had to say yesterday during his visit, his two-day visit to Gujarat. I do want to ask you, sir, I want to take to you what Karti Chidambaram from the Congress has argued. His argument is that particularly when you take a look at, for example, MBBS books in Madhya Pradesh that have just been translated to Hindi, there is a fear that because English is the language used by a global medical community, so world over, the use of Hindi in just India may act as a hindrance when you're trying to create that India international bridge. To that, sir, what is the BJP's response?
Well, that's not true. In France, it's not English which is the language which is used for medical subjects. And there are many other countries where English is not being used as a language for the medical subjects. So it's the subject which is more important than the language, the medium which you use for the learning that subject. And we'll appreciate that Indian government should further promote and then take this MBBS course in other languages also in the country. So the students from other regional areas should also come on board, because language has been a hindrance for them, because if my mother language is Punjabi and I've been forced to do my studies in English, so that's a hindrance for me, for any child. Therefore, they got a child from Tamil Nadu also. If their mother language, the spoken language at home is Tamil, then it becomes difficult for a child to grasp the other language. And it's much more easy and comfortable for a child to pick up a subject of any level, of any higher education, in the mother language.
Okay. All right, R.P. Singh, thank you so much for joining us and thank you for bringing us your context. For our audiences, we are going to move on from this story right now. First, I want to take you to hear exactly what Prime Minister Modi had to say. Take a look.
देश ने गुलामी की मानसिकता से मुक्ति का संकल्प लिया है। नई राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति गुलामी की मानसिकता से देश को बाहर निकालकर टैलेंट को, इनोवेशन को निखारने का प्रयास है। अब देखिए, देश में क्या स्थिति बनाकर रख दी गई थी। अंग्रेजी भाषा के ज्ञान को इंटेलिजेंस का पैमाना मान दिया गया था, जबकि भाषा तो सिर्फ संवाद का, कम्युनिकेशन का एक माध्यम पर है। लेकिन इतने दशकों तक भाषा एक ऐसी रुकावट बन गई थी जिसने देश के गांवों में, गरीब परिवारों में प्रतिभा जो थी, जो प्रतिभा का भंडार था, उसका लाभ देश को नहीं मिल पाया। न जाने कितने ही प्रतिभाशाली बच्चे, देशवासी सिर्फ इसलिए डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर नहीं बन पाए क्योंकि उनको जो भाषा समझ आती थी उसमें उनको पढ़ाई का अवसर नहीं मिला। अब ये स्थिति बदली जा रही है। भारतीय भाषाओं में भी साइंस, टेक्नोलॉजी, मेडिकल, इस पढ़ाई के विकल्प अब विद्यार्थियों को मिलना शुरू हो गया।
Okay, an aspect that we've not discussed so far in this entire story is the opposition that's also come in from various leaders, particularly down south. There is a fear, as there has been historically, that there is the imposition of Hindi coming in from the centre. We'll talk later in the day about what senior leaders like the DMK's M.K. Stalin have had to say on this entire controversy. Right now, though, we are moving on to another aspect of this same story. As we just informed you, a few days ago, Amit Shah, who is currently the Home Minister, introduced MBBS books in Hindi in Madhya Pradesh. A massive war of words has erupted around that between the Congress and the BJP on Twitter. We're going to take you to that. As we just said, first you had the Congress leader Karti Chidambaram. He wrote to the Prime Minister. He's published what he wrote. It was a letter. He's put it up on Twitter. And in that letter, you can see him argue. He said, A, that newly transliterated Hindi books will not be at par with guidelines set up by international communities. He's asked, for example, what about complex English medical terms? How will you make sure they're translated correctly? The Madhya Pradesh Medical Education Minister, Vishwas Sarang, has hit back at that response. He's called it an insult to Hindi and those who have the slavish mentality of British. He's argued that they will never understand the dignity of the Hindi language. That's exactly what he's had to say. You can see him on the right side of your screens right now. I believe we have been able to connect ourselves back with my colleague Arun Dhanta. So we'll go over to him right now. Arun, for our audiences, before we carry on, could you very clearly lay out exactly what does the national education policy have to say when it comes to language? Then we'll shine a light further on the political controversy on this. But first, if you could just explain that to our audiences.
Well, see, national education policy gives you the choice of 3 languages. So you can have your subjects in regional language, 2 preferred regional languages, and then the third one, of course, the English language. So that's the space which national education policy gives you. And in fact, there are various other things, but since we are talking about the language right now, so this is the important part of the national education policy, where that gives you that space, that gives the state governments that space to get the subjects in the regional language. Now, in fact, Prime Minister Modi has also spoken on the same lines. And that shows that how this government's focus is to promote Hindi more. And in fact, all the central government ministries have started their work in Hindi only. All the communication that happens happens in Hindi, and in fact, a strict warning has been given to the officials of various ministries who are reluctant to use Hindi. To not to use Hindi will have some impacts on their annual assessment. So it shows that the central government's focus, BJP government's focus, is on promoting Hindi. But as far as the controversy of Madhya Pradesh, the MBBS course is concerned, that is something which is brewing at this moment. We had seen Amit Shah launching the first time in India an MBBS course in Hindi. Initially, they're starting with the 3 subjects in Hindi, and then as per the Minister of Medical Education in Madhya Pradesh, they will take this forward. Now we are seeing, as you also spoke about, the Karti Chidambaram's letter. He has outlined various problems which students are going to face internationally, because as per his letter, he says that the internationally recognized language for courses like MBBS and commerce, engineering is English, and therefore to give that exposure to the students in English is very, very important. International conferences, research papers, and everything related to MBBS is something which is in English. And when you have that courses in India in Hindi, that will hinder the growth of the students, and therefore he is requesting Prime Minister Modi to not to make such decisions or to take this decision back. But on the other hand, Madhya Pradesh government is very much at the front foot